Hi there, thank you for joining me to chat about Seeking Sister Wife. If you're a fan of the show, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, and also let me know your thoughts on the episode in the comments. This episode starts out with the Merrifields. Yay! They annoy me, but I am happy that they're back, and I'm ready to see what foolishness they're up to this time. So let's get into it. So they tell us that it's been a month since they've been back home, and we see them in what looks to be like a mall. That was my first impression anyway, but they're actually at the airport, and we find out that they are still working on obtaining a visa for Natalia, but in the meantime, they're entertaining potential sister wives. So they're all giggly and happy now. All of a sudden, things to be so great between them. And so I guess Garrick is excited about the prospect of a new young thing in the interim. So apparently, this is what they're telling us, Natalia is still in the picture. Danielle is happy, and it could be a part of that happiness is because Natalia is not in the middle anymore. But in the short term, things are great between her and Garrick. She's heavily pregnant right now, and they reveal that they're having a girl. So now in the airport, they are meeting Miriam, who is, we're told she's from a Muslim family. And Garrick tells us that she has a brother who had a sister wife, so she's familiar with the lifestyle. He also tells us that Miriam has a 2-year-old daughter as well. I'm not quite sure how old she is. I know he likes them young, but apparently Danielle was the one who struck up a friendship with her online. And so that evolved into her being a potential sister wife. So she still looks pretty young, though. I don't recall hearing her age, but she has got to be at least 25, between 25 and 30. She, in the pictures that they show of her, she looks more like an influencer to me. And I, hearing that she was Muslim, was expecting more modesty. And that might be a little bit, stereotypical. But hearing that, most women that I've known who have been Muslim or what we see, they're covered up more than she is. So I was looking for that. But she looks gorgeous. And apparently the story that we're told is that Danielle met her online, struck up a friendship, and I guess it was platonic and evolved into something, and we're told that they've been talking for a few weeks. Danielle claims that Miriam saw the love of God in their family and wanted to be a part of it. Like where? Maybe it was a mirage she saw, but what love of God? But Garrick says that he hasn't had time to get to know her as yet, which is so weird because they've only been talking for a few weeks. And now they're bringing her to visit them in her home where she has her kids, having known her for a few weeks. Like, this is insane. I didn't think they were like this crazy to be bringing a stranger in their house, but here they are. I was just like, oh my goodness, I cannot. But anyway, so they go on to say that Natalia knows about Miriam and she's not happy. And, I was like, you think? She doesn't even have her visas yet, and they're starting to date somebody else. So Garrick says how she shuts down. She doesn't want to talk about it. And I'm like, what do you expect? Can you really blame her? Like, maybe sometimes you ought to try to put yourself in somebody else's shoe, because I'm sure if it were you, that you wouldn't like this. So, he's kind of acting like her reaction is so, unexpected or atypical. Like, why would she feel some kind of way as soon as your wedding with her is off? Here you are with somebody else. Like, seriously? I don't know how he was expecting her to react to this. So Garrick says that they haven't, however, told Natalia that Miriam is coming to visit. And then he goes on to try to minimize this by saying, like, really, the focus of the trip is just to get, to find out if she's just a friend or if there's meant to be more. So Danielle says Miriam knows of Natalia, and then she says that they want to get to know her without any distractions. So, I guess they don't want Natalia ruining their thing with Miriam. So they're keeping secrets at this moment. about this part of it. Miriam says that she could see herself in a plural family as long as everybody's on the same page. So they pick her up, and then in the car on the way home, we see Danielle and Miriam in the back seat. She's touching Danielle's belly and talking to the baby. Her and Danielle seems to be getting along really well. They're laughing and chatting the whole ride home. So when they get home, we see Danielle's dad is there to meet them, and they meet her. He meets her, so I guess I didn't expect him to be there, but I guess since she's going to be in the house, I guess they didn't have a choice but to, let the family know about this woman. So once again, they're moving at the speed of a roadrunner, with doing all this in such a short period of time. So we see them giving her a tour of the house, and Danielle says, they have the same connection in person as online, and she's curious to see how Miriam and Garrick will get along. So then later we see, she shows her room, and Danielle says something to the effect of, they could talk later, she doesn't like the room or something like that. In the confessional, Garrick says that he thinks Natalia and Miriam would get along. What? Now, how are we coming by this presumption? Because you don't even know this lady. Danielle was the one who had been having conversations. So how do you come by this supposition that she and Natalia would get along? Like, I feel like sometimes he just says stuff just to say something. So anyway, he says that, if things go well with Miriam, that Natalia won't have a choice anyway but to get along with her. So now that Miriam is in the picture, I noticed that he's not as giddy talking about Natalia. And I was just like, oh boy, the next new shiny thing is here. So, he's lost interest, it seems to me. They claim they're still working on her visa, but I don't know. And I hope Natalia doesn't even bother, because where would she fit in? He's not even considering her feelings. If she doesn't want this right now, and he's moving forward anyway, then what is her role in the family? He doesn't even care about her feelings. So I don't know. I hope Natalia just stays where she is. So later we see them in the kitchen. I don't know if it's the next day or later on in the evening, but Sam and Samantha are coming over to meet Miriam. And they said that this is the first sister wife that they're going to meet in person. Miriam says she's nervous about meeting them, about the questions. And Danielle says, that their opinion, Sam and Samantha's opinion, will be helpful and help them feel more settled about their decision. But really, they've always spoken and given their opinion. But do you guys listen? No, you do not. So I don't know what she's talking about. They're just there to meet the lady. And you guys are just going to do what you want to do, as per usual. So we see where Miriam offers them baklava. And she goes on to tell them about where she lives. She says she lives in a huge Middle Eastern community, and she tells them a little bit about the culture. Sam says he has reservation. He doesn't have reservations about the lifestyle, but more about Garrick's choices, because he always moves too fast and doesn't think. And, he's like, it's going to be the same thing again. So Samantha asked, how she got interested in Danielle and Garrick. And she said she saw how close their family is and how supportive she is of him. Sam, the husband, asked, was she looking for a polygamous situation when she met them? And she said she wasn't really looking for anything, just for whatever God has in store for her. She wasn't really looking for anything specific. And she says she doesn't feel like there would be any jealousy between her and Danielle, and because she seems very genuine. Samantha asks, how they will. Samantha says she hopes that they will take things slowly. She also asked Miriam how her family will feel if she converted to Christianity, and Miriam says she has no plans of converting. So this is something that I don't think any of them had discussed about the religious differences. And Garrick is just mumbling and bumbling. He has no answers either. And Danielle apparently didn't talk to her about that, but they say that that's something that they'll have to, learn more about and consider. She goes on to tell them a little bit about her religion, how it's about peace, and there's perception about the religion in the media, but those are radicals, and That's not how, everybody in this religion or in this culture behaves. So, they're all about peace. And so she kind of dispels some of the stereotypes or whatever that people have. And Samantha says she likes her. She seems very genuine. She just wonders how the relationship will work with the religious differences. Miriam says they just have to have an open mind about this and that she will ultimately do what's best for her. So she seems to know what she wants, and she seems pretty mature from what we can see of her so far. Later, we see Danielle and Miriam out to eat. Garrick was supposed to go out with them, but apparently he's home with a migraine. So Danielle seems interested in learning more about her religion and her culture. She asked her how to say this thing that they say before they eat. And so Miriam was kind of happy that she's wanting to learn these little mannerisms of her culture. And so they start talking about doing a maternity shoot. She says there's a place locally she's been considering doing a maternity shoot and that she hadn't done that with the boys. And she goes on to ask Miriam if she wants more kids. Miriam says maybe 1 or 2 biologically, but she also wants to adopt. She goes on to tell her that she's a maternal figure to everyone around her. She just likes, she just has that maternal instinct, I guess. And Miriam tells her, she could also have a baby shower. Danielle tells her she doesn't have any friends, but Miriam says, you have family. You do have family, though, so you could still have the baby shower. And it dawned on me in her saying this, that maybe that's the reason Garrick is able to manipulate her so much, because she has no friends. She does have Sam and Samantha, her brother and sister-in-law, but does she listen to them? No, she lets Garrick, remove all her logic and just listens to him. So Danielle likes that she's so mothering, and she feels like that's beneficial in a plural marriage. She also says that she could also help her with her makeup. And God knows, that's all I'm going to say. Miriam jokingly asked her later on in the conversation if she would give up pork. And Danielle says, she loves pork and she loves bacon too much she couldn't. And she says, would you give up pork for me? She tells her it's very important. So I think this is something serious, although they're kind of having a little laugh about it. But this is something that's probably prohibited in her religion, so that could be a problem, especially if they have to live in the same household. They would probably have to give that up. So Danielle says she likes pork too much. She loves bacon. But ultimately she said that, she'd be open to considering that. Miriam tells her that she's never been with a white man. She's always only dated Arabic men, Hispanic, Caribbean. I think, did she say Caribbean? Other types of men. So Garrick will be her first white boy. Okay. So tonight, she says, is the first time she's going to be alone with Garrick. She's nervous. She did mention to Danielle, she says, I noticed that you guys move fast. So I was like, wow. Yeah, she's smart. She can clock how they're trying to move along, maneuver, just pushing her through the supply line. And she told Danielle that, she's a little bit guarded because in her past, people have always just wanted, to come on to her, and, she doesn't want her heart broken, so she wants to take things slowly. She says she doesn't want to be pressured into anything, but she does say that Garrick has been very respectful, so she's, that's a good sign. Danielle says in her confessional that she's a little bit bummed that she wants to take things, apparently she wants to move fast, and Miriam wants to take things slowly. What the heck? This is so backwards. Why would you want him to move fast when he doesn't know her yet? And then when he moves fast, she's the one who's going to have a problem with it, and they're going to be fighting again. Here we go. It's going to be interesting for sure. So Miriam says, tells her in the conversation at lunch, I think it was lunch, that she's comfortable talking to her. And Danielle says vice versa, that, they feel comfortable. They could talk about anything. And she goes on to say that she doesn't feel that way with Natalia. And there's definitely a visible difference in the interaction between the two of them. And I feel like maybe it's probably because she has built that rapport and friendship with her before involving Garrick. versus Garrett bringing somebody that he likes based on physicality and doesn't consider what they're going to be compatible with Danielle or not, or whatever else they have going on in the family. I don't see Garrett being able to manipulate her, though, so he might not like that. She seems very intuitive and very self-assured, so we'll see. Today, Justin is having dinner with Yari, and he wants to have a conversation with her about the fact that things are moving very slowly. And I don't know if this is him or this is being pushed by Becky. I could definitely see Becky saying, well, wait a minute, you're moving too slow, speed it up. He says they don't want to date forever. He has learned from the past that, they need a commitment or they're going to be wasting their time. And also, I guess he didn't learn from the past that this approach doesn't work, because look what happened with Stephanie. So anyway, here they go. So they're having dinner, and he mentions like going away, and he mentioned going to Italy or something, but it was a joke. He tells her that they're going to Florida over the winter and asks her if she wants to go. She asked if it would be with Becky, and yeah, she was not interested in going anywhere with Becky. But can you blame her? So she tells him that he spent most of his time with his family, as he should. That's a good thing, but at the same time, in this type of dynamic, that could be a problem, because then now you have her feeling neglected because he's not spending time with her. So she goes on to tell him that she says, Becky's your priority, not me. And when she said that, I was like, ruh-roh, do I sense a breakup here? So Justin asked her, what does that mean? Well, it's a very simple statement. I don't know how else you can translate it or interpret it, but she says, Becky's the one next to you. Becky's the one you're spending most of your time with. And so Yari says that she enjoys the time with him, but they don't spend enough time together. She asks him if he's going to have time, and he tells her that once they have a commitment, there will be time. So out of the blue, you can make time once they commit, but then right now, when she wants to get to know you, you can't make time. Make it make sense. So he goes on to say that, if he's in a commitment, then there's nothing he won't do for that person, or something to that effect. So he goes on to ask her if she's open to being with him and Becky. And she asked about being with him, just her, no sharing. And she says she wants her man only for her. She doesn't want to share. And I was just like, yeah, this is not going anywhere. And I don't know why they continued to date, because I know he had mentioned that on the first date. And I don't know if she's hoping that this would be different, or maybe she could get him to change his mind. But, she kind of knew this from the beginning. So I don't know. If she doesn't want to share her man, why are they continuing to go out? She says that, if you had to share your wife with someone else, you wouldn't like that, right? And he chuckled and said, I'll share my wife with no dudes. So I guess he's the only one who gets the privilege of having other partners. But you kind of see where she's going with this. Yara says, that's why it's not easy for her. She has to take her time to process things. In her confessional, she says she wants more time to get to know him without Becky. Justin tells her she could take her time, but he doesn't want her to get blindsided if they start talking to somebody else. And she says she doesn't like when people are in a hurry. That's not normal. And he retorts by saying polygamy is not normal. So he looks like he's getting frustrated with her. He wasn't really happy with the conversation. Yara says that she's an open-minded person and she likes him, but she needs more time. She says, that's the way that she'll be able to see if it will work. Justin says that he understands, but at the same time, he doesn't look happy. She says that she's not in a rush to get in. He says that he's not in a rush to get into a commitment with Yari, but there just has to be a commitment from someone. Oh my gosh. Did I hear what I just hear? You just want to be somebody. It doesn't matter who. There's no specific type of person, just anybody who's willing to commit to you. That's all. That's it. That's the requirement. That is a strange thing to say. So then after the dinner was over, we see where he walks her to her car at the curb, and he said bye. There was no smile. There was no hug. There was no Can I get a kiss? And I was just like, yeah, it's over. I just don't understand like why they're in such a rush. Like anybody dating, you have to get to know the person before committing. So why does it have to be any different because it's a polygamous relationship? I feel Yari, when somebody's rushing you into a decision, kind of makes you suspicious. It's almost like the pushy salesperson. You're like, wait a minute, what's the angle? What am I missing? Why is he forcing me into this? It's probably a bad decision. So you kind of do the opposite of what they're telling you to do. So I'm glad that she's not allowing him to rush her into anything. Plus, Yari doesn't want to share her partner anyway, so they might as well just part ways. So for the Davis family, we see all the women and Nick are prepping food and wine for Jasmine. She's coming over. Danielle says she's nervous because this is a big step. Jennifer says that, since they can't be married to each other in the confessional, she says that she's married to April. Nick goes on to say that the reason they structured this way is because he doesn't want one person to feel entitled to anything more than the other person in the relationship. Like, what? Can somebody make sense of this to me? Because that doesn't make sense to me. Anyway, April says that she wants Danielle to have a wife to balance the family out. And they were all sitting together in this confessional. And when she said that, Danielle just looked down. Blink, Danielle, if you need to be rescued. Blink twice. What? I just don't understand this, really. Why are you here, Danielle? Because every time they talk about this, expanding the family, bringing somebody else, you're not with this, but yet she's still here. Like, I'm so confused. Jennifer says spending the night with someone might be a real test as far as seeing how they get along. So then they get into the backyard with Nick sandwiched in between all the women after Jasmine arrives. She asks what they have planned, and April asks her if she brought her swimsuit, and she says yes. April tells her, maybe they can get into the hot tub tonight. April tells her how they have a big bed, and she's welcome to sleep with them in it, but if she's not comfortable, that's fine. So Nick is all happy and nodding when she said that she was okay with sleeping in the bed. And so they brought out a charcuterie board earlier that has, meat and crackers and whatever. And Jasmine says charcuterie boards are like Lunchables for kids. And, excuse me. So after she says that, Nick says he's happy that she doesn't have any food allergies. And so she says she's allergic to lamb. So Nick asks, how did she find that out? That's an unusual allergy. So she goes on to tell the story about how she worked in a pet processing plant and was mixing lamb parts into the batter. It's supposed to be for added iron or something like that. And how she would get lamb's blood on her. And so whenever that happened, she would get a rash. So everybody's like looking like, oh my gosh, this is just too far out. Not to mention the fact that they were eating. And then she's talking about mixing lamb parts and blood splattering all over herself. Like, girl, they're trying to eat. Why are you telling this story right now? I mean, she didn't have to go into all the details while they were eating. So Nick had to laugh. Like, he actually laughed in the scene like, oh my goodness, like this is just far out. And in the confessional, he was just like, this girl he says that she adds another layer to the cake. Like, basically, this girl is cuckoo. So Jennifer said that, the fact that, she's open to telling them the story and all that stuff, she's probably open-minded and pretty much okay if she's okay with working at a pet processing plant and having lamb's blood all over her. But everybody was just looking like, this girl is weird. So Jasmine says in her confessional, I don't know why she's repeating this, that this will be a great opportunity to get help at home and to have a better, stable environment for her son. So basically, the reason she's here is to get some help. Get what she can get. So production asks, what are the rules for dating and intimacy in the Davis household? And April said there are no rules. And Nick was laughing and, he was like, the rule is, do as thou shalt or something like that. And he was just cracking up because, of course, that works in his favor. And so, Danielle didn't look amused by this. So when he looked over to her, I feel like he added on this part when he looked at her and she was so stone-faced. he said, oh, but sex is off the table for tonight. They're not trying to go down that road with Jasmine right now. So later they went downstairs and showed her the bed. She just dived into the bed and a face planted onto the bed. And I'm like, who does that? Who just comes off the street and just jumps on somebody's bed? I don't know. If somebody did that and jumped on my bed, there would be a problem. So anyway, later, not long after that, we see where everybody's on the bed. There's a ton of room left with the 4 women on the bed. And they joked about, Nick being in the middle and whatnot. So then after they were on the bed having a little chit chat, they said it's time for the hot tub. In the confessional, Danielle expressed some reservation about bringing somebody new in. And I'm like, girl, I feel like I hear this every week, but yet here you are. I'm so tired of Danielle right now. So next we see everybody in the hot tub. And then we see Nick kiss April. And I'm like, I don't want to see this. Please don't show this. Oh, Nick, please. Then we see where he's leaning his head back onto Danielle's bosoms. So he is in this whole hot tub thing. I feel like he's trying to hint at something, He wants something to happen in the hot tub. So Jasmine says, asked to play a game. So yeah, and this is where things get weird. So the first question was, what's your favorite color? And she says hers is blue, and she rambles on some weird stuff about blue. I've loved blue, every form of blue that I've met, or something like that. I'm like, oh my goodness. And everybody's just looking. Danielle's trying not to laugh or trying not to show anything on her face, but you could tell there's a laugh or something bubbling up there she's trying to hold in. April did answer that her favorite color was red because she was wearing a red top. I think that's probably the reason why she picked red. And everybody's trying to participate, but it's just weird. So then April said in her confessional, the question about the color was kind of a red flag. And Danielle was like, we're in the hot tub. Why are we asking about favorite colors? I'm just saying. And so everybody just laughed in their confessional, like, this girl, As if that wasn't bad enough and juvenile enough, she asked, what's your favorite form of water? What? She says the ocean because it goes on and on and on. And the thing that popped into my head is that song by Tyler Cruz, it goes on and on and on. I was like, girl, what are we doing? Are we doing, favorite form of water? I just busted out laughing because what is this? Tell me this is a setup. And she didn't really legitly ask this question. So everybody's trying to participate, but you could see the look on their face like, where is this going? What is this girl talking about? And then she asked, what's your favorite animal? So Nick rambles on about being a spider and some gibberish. And then ultimately, and he said about capturing prey. And then Jennifer was like, yeah, because that's how you captured us. And then he goes over and he kissed April. And then he dives over and kissed Jasmine on the cheek, like just out of the blue. I'm just like, okay, everything's like awkward. And then April said they need to get ready for bed. So Nick said he asked Danielle to hang back. He wanted to talk to her to see if she's okay with everything. He wanted some reassurance from her. He asked her how she was feeling. Are you sure you're okay with having someone here, like actually in the flesh now? How are you feeling? Are you still okay with it? And so this is where their segment ends. A huge anticlimactic hot tub scene. That girl is strange, but I was just cracking up like, where does she come up with this stuff? So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the big bed, because it's not, I have a feeling it's not going to be what they think it's going to be. She's going to be like, I'm tired. Good night. I'm sure this is going to happen. I would not be surprised if that's what happened. And I haven't watched the previews of the next episode either. So we'll see how that goes. Anyway, that's all for this episode. Let me know your thoughts on the episode. Like, comment, and subscribe.